Trent Frederic has avoided arbitration, signing a 2-year deal worth $4.6 million to stay with the Bees. Meanwhile, Jeremy Swayman had his arbitration hearing, and news coming out of Bruins camp is that the arbitrator has awarded him a 1-year deal just under $3.5 million. Do you think that's about right, given what we've seen with recent goalie signings?
Yeah, the comps kind of line up with Gustafsson in Minnesota. I think because that was a great comp, I thought, because Gustafsson got a little bit more, but he signed for longer term.
Yeah. This
is a 1-year deal. Samsonov as well, that's a 1-year deal. He got a little bit more, but Swayman obviously was, I don't know if you want to say backing up, but he's backing up the Vezina Trophy winner.
Sure.
So maybe that goes into Boston's argument a little bit. I think it's a great number. I think the total cap hit amongst your goalies in Boston is at a great number for you to have the flexibility to do other things as well, like sign Trent Frederic to a 2-year deal.
Absolutely, yeah. And we know that, like you said, Boston's right up against that salary cap space, despite so much movement. Like, we've seen so many departures from the Boston Bruins. It's going to be a very different look on the ice. And as you take a look, I mean, the subtractions far outweigh the additions in terms of just the number of moves. What do you expect out of his team going into the season?
Well, I think you have a couple proud guys coming in. Milan Lucic coming back. I love that signing. I think he was such an integral part of the fabric of this organization, the Big Bad Bruins, when they started really making their run again. He was a huge part of it. You lose guys that played hard, Foligno, Hathaway, Bertuzzi. I mean, losing Taylor Hall, that was kind of a luxury. They had to get rid of him. It's going to be much different. And you know, you had Bergeron and Krejci and Nosek down the middle. You know, the center ice position is going to look a lot different. I think Pavel Zacha can do a lot of things. I think he's still just scratching the surface. He's been around. He's showing that he can be a capable, really dynamic forward. I love Charlie Coyle as well. He's a workhorse. He's going to be solid both sides of the rink. You know, but we'll see. Morgan Geekie's got an opportunity here to come in and play a bigger role. I think that's what he wants. And we'll see with Boquist as well. So the center ice position for sure, I think, is an important spot, and that's going to look a lot different. So a lot up in the air for Boston.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, they still have their superstars in David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand. And, oh, by the way, they have the reigning Vezina winner as well with Linus Ullmark. But kind of going back to that Jeremy Swayman situation, it is a luxury for them to have two very solid quality goalies who they really went back and forth with and kind of shared the workload throughout the year. I know Linus Ullmark in his speech accepting the Vezina gave a lot of credit to his tandem partner in Jeremy Swayman. How do you see that situation playing out? Do you think it'll be similar to what we saw last year, or do you think Ullmark will have the bulk of the workload?
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar. And I heard Brian Boucher talking about this on a podcast as well. He said the position's changing because the game's changing. And I don't think you're going to see as many 60, 65 game starters. This is kind of the way the league is trending. You got to have depth at the goaltending position because it's so fast. There's a lot more rush play. There's a lot more offense. It's great for the fans to see that. Yeah. It's hard on the goalies and their joints.
Right.
So you need to have capable guys to be able to back up and to essentially split time. It's going to be a 1-1A in a lot of places. And, you know, come playoff time, it might still be the old way. You know, let that guy have the net for the remainder. But even Vegas this year, you saw how many goalies
they used 5 goalies in the regular season.
And even in the postseason, they had a number of different guys. So it's a different league now. It's faster. It's what the people want, but it's harder on goalies.
Yeah. So do you think there's a world in which Boston thinks about trading one of their goalies?
I think that's a hard thing to do if you're Boston. Look, so we already talked about the center position. I think the center position, your defense and your goalie, that's your foundation of your team, and you can kind of pluck different guys in and out of those spots. But I like what they have in net. I really do. I love what they have on the back end with McAvoy, with Lindholm. Those are, I mean, everybody wants those guys on their team.
Sure.
So you make do with that. And, you know, you added a Shattenkirk who could bring some offense, and Forbert's a solid player. Carlo, Grzelcyk, these guys have been there a long time, but McAvoy and Lindholm are their staples. That's 2/3 of the game. You have those guys on the ice. It's important.
Well, it's also important to point out that there are 2 years left on Ullmark's deal, and he does now have a modified no-trade clause. So that adds into the equation, right? And also, I don't know anyone that trades away the guy that just won the Vezina, right? I mean, we
has
saw,
happened.
Yeah, you're right. But I would be shocked if that ended up happening with Boston. But who knows? We've still got, what, a month or so, a little more than a month before training camp opens.